Hey there, brother. Dan and I are having another conversation today, and we're talking about um, when guys want to solve the problem of mediocre marriage. They want to solve the problem of not getting enough of what they want. They want to solve the problem of being unhappy with their situation. And when in the article that Dan wrote, he talked about it's easier to achieve something impossible than it is to fix your reality. It's a very weird paradox that it's easier to create something new than to focus on fixing the current malaise in your life. We want to talk about this paradox because what we're finding out in coaching is when guys take their eye off trying to put band-aids on their current level of discontent and you look at something at a much higher level and a much more exciting level, things are actually easier, even though it doesn't sound like it should be. So let's talk about that. And Dan's going to read the paragraph that he wrote. And we're going to jump into what does it mean to actually think a little bit more impossibly than just trying to stay in your current reality.
So in the last video, we talked about being in a mediocre marriage and needing to find some kind of passion, find something you care about to come out of the mediocrity. So in this is the part of this article, the title is "It's easier to achieve the impossible than the realistic." And it is a paradox. So many of the men that we work with are trying not to get this life thing wrong, trying not to lose, trying not to mess up their marriage. They're afraid of making mistakes. They want their wife to like him again, to be attractive to him again, to desire him again, or respect him. They want to fix the lack of sex and affection in the relationship. But the problem that which they think she has, sorry, that's the problem which they think she has. And then she feels that constant disappointment and criticism. And rather than challenging her to want to address the problem, it just makes her feel not good enough, not attractive enough, and definitely stops her from feeling sexual with him. So we're talking about that malaise, that mediocrity, that focusing on the negative, that's playing small, and we both spiral down, playing smaller and smaller. I want you to see that there's a bigger game to play here. Often in my work with men, I get him to come up with a vision for his relationship and his life that both scares and inspires him. Why? Why do we come up with something that's scary and inspiring? Why do we want something that's impossible rather than realistic? Because that kind of vision, that bigger vision, that deeper why, that more passionate, caring thing, the thing that gets your juices going, that calls out his strength, that calls out his courage, his masculinity, and it moves him forward as a man and it challenges him to grow. And when you lead from that place, the place of facing a challenge for something you believe in, everything starts to change. And we see this over and over and over again in the coaching that we do with guys.
Yeah. What does it mean to lead towards something bigger, to create something more, to the old saying is that if you keep doing the same old thing, you're going to keep getting the same old things. You'll keep getting what you don't want. Sometimes guys we're coaching try little micro changes, like if we could only have sex on once a week, would you agree to have intimacy just one day? Could we do it for 20 minutes? What if we held hands tomorrow? What if you let me kiss you goodbye? And they're thinking of all these little bitty micro changes to make adjustments to their current state of discontentment because you just don't like the feeling of the connection. And what we find out is that this chronic discontentment with the connection you're having with her, the fact that you think you're upset and you think that you're unsatisfied and unhappy with your connection with her, it's almost always you don't have a connection with yourself yet. You're counting on her to make you feel good about you and the life you have in front of you and the life you live. And if you're living in a small microcosm of work and kids and dinner and, trying to have sex once a week, if you're living in this small bubble, you think really small. The paradox we're talking about is that the moment you decide to stop living in this little bubble of reality and come up with another version of your life that you're working toward, all of the sudden things around you start changing. Your relationship to yourself, your connection to your happiness, connection to that shit-eating grin that you have when you wake up in the morning. It can't be about what's happening with her or your kids or your job. It has to be about something else. So with this video, we want you to dream a little bit about what it would be like to shift gears out of this low crawl gear, this rock climbing gear you might be in of trying to make little changes and go into a higher gear for you. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what would be impossible. Some examples of guys we've worked with that have done things, even our own personal lives. Dan, what do you want to share
Well,
that might give an example of that?
two things. So one, I'll share something about my own personal experience with this, going through relationship disconnection and malaise and that sort of stuff, and how did I come out of that? And then two, I just want to mention that Steve and I have a course we run, which is a 10-year course, right? Which is exactly this fucking energy. It's exactly that. Who does a 10-year course? Nobody does a 10-year course. Who would join a 10-year course? Nobody would join a 10-year course. Well, it turns out people will join a 10-year course. And we're doing a 10-year course whether people joined anyway or not, because we want to continue to be moving forward with this kind of energy. And so rather than waiting for something to go wrong in the outside world and our circumstances, we're like, no, fuck that. Let's create a ridiculous thing, right? That's going to keep us on this same kind of energy. What about if we did a 10-year course, which is ridiculous, but that's why we're doing it, because this is
We're
what
in
we're
the
talking
second
about.
year of our 10-year course. Yeah.
The energy of creating the impossible, right? Makes you think bigger, makes you expand, makes you just engage with the world with a different energy and a different outlook and a different perspective. And that's what we're all about with the coaching that we do with guys. For me personally, when my relationship was really struggling, I was really struggling and down in the dumps and in this kind of malaise. And um, one of the things that I dropped out of my life was music. I used to DJ. I used to get paid to dance on stage at raves when they were first going on in the UK. Music was a massive part of my life. And so that was something that I just let drop because kids and family and responsibilities, etc., etc. And at one point I said, sod that. I'm gonna bring that stuff back in. And not only that, I'm gonna bring that stuff back in and I'm gonna DJ again. And so slowly, slowly got myself back into it, got the equipment I needed to do, started practicing, started playing on the radio live and that sort of stuff. Ended up getting booked for a few venues and started playing out again. And it's great. And I fucking love it. And it changes me and it changes my energy. And it's not for anybody else, right? It's for me. But that then bleeds into everything else in my life. It bleeds into every other aspect of my life, every other relationship that I have in my life. It's rumbling in the background. And it's that spark that we talk about. And in the last video, we talked about there's a version of you that was the version of you that first attracted the person you were in a relationship with. And you have to dig him out, find him again, and dust him off and go, dude, where have you been? I left you in the corner of the attic and forgot all about you. And hey, welcome back. And that's what we're talking about in this video.
Some of you may be thinking, like, well, you don't understand. You don't get it. You don't know my life. I work 12 hours a day, right? We don't have that much spare money or time. And she's always upset or she's always tired and she never wants to do anything. So you start to do this yeah, but thing. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying with your music and all that stuff, but my life is different. We know that there's a difference between doing grandiose things like starting a 10-year course like we did with a bunch of guys. I have a grandiose thing I just heard the other day about taking sailing lessons as a couple up on a lake in Montana to learn how to run a 40-foot boat because someday I think I might want to do that. It could be expensive and a lot of time. That's pretty big. But guess what? Just this morning, it's raining like hell here right now. It's fall, and there is an organic farm and a pumpkin patch with flowers and honey and bees and donkeys and goats and all kinds of shit, apple cider, right? It's 45 minutes just east of here, and it's raining like hell. And I said, let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. What? It's raining. I don't give a fuck. Let's go. And I said, here, read this. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, but it's raining. Why don't we go tomorrow? I can't go tomorrow because I got stuff to do. Let's go today. Let's go. Let's go. And it's going to take, I don't know how much we'll spend there. Maybe, 30 or 40 bucks. But just driving there in the rain and saying, no, we got to go. We want you to think about doing unpredictable, surprising, crazy, irresponsible things. They don't have to be expensive and time consuming and grandiose, but you want to amuse yourself. You want to crack your own self up, as I say. And it could be anything. Go into a miniature donkey farm. Go to a place where they do goat yoga and let goats stand on your back. Do crazy shit. Play songs that is a volume level 20 when nobody's around and let your wife hear the bass. Just you have to take care of you. Now, I know I'm getting a little animated. I've had 2 cups of coffee. the point we're trying to make here is that the opposite of what Dan and I are talking about is playing small. It's this micro step, wake up, rub your eyes, here we go again. You make a bid for connection, you invite her to something like intimacy, and she says no, and you go, well, fuck me, fuck my life. That's just no way to live. Nobody wants to be with you, including yourself. So when we talk
Right.
about connecting with a part of yourself, the part of you that's surprising, unpredictable, to saying stuff you would never say, finding stuff on the internet that you would never do. Oh my God, you won't believe how many crazy things there are to do in your town. Corn mazes are nuts. They're hard to get out of. I'm scared of corn mazes. I'm afraid I'll never get out. That's a big thing here in the fall. Find something that makes you grin. I'm watching Dan's face as I'm talking just because he didn't know I was going to say all that and he's just grinning. How do you make yourself grin? Dan, what makes you get goofy with your family?
Well, I love just mucking around. I think we've talked about this before. You know, the golden retriever is probably my spirit animal. And what do they want to do? They just want to play all day long. And so
Mm.
I want to play all day long. Like life is short. I want to enjoy it. And so you look at a golden retriever is like, hey, you want to play? Are you ready to play? Are we ready to play? I'm ready to play. And if you're not ready to play, he goes, okay. He goes to the next person. Hey, you ready to play? I'm ready to play. And that's it, right? That's how life should be, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, we have responsibilities. Yes, we have to take care of those things. I've got three kids. You know, I have animals and a house and a mortgage and all of that sort of stuff. Absolutely have responsibilities. It does not mean that life has to suck. And it does not mean that we have to live in that energy of drudgery. That's not who you were. That's definitely not who you were when you first got together. And it's not who you are now. It's just that you've got to a position of currently thinking that that's who you are and who you need to be. Fuck that. No. And so this is why we're passionate about what we do. This is why we're here. Steve and I were like, hey, let's do another video because we want to talk to you guys and we want to get to know you because during the process of getting to know you, really getting to know you, really getting to know what really makes you tick, what really makes you laugh and be goofy and what makes you curious and really like, could I create something like that? Really? You know, tap into a little bit of that energy. As we talk to you about that and start to find some of that, guess what happens? You start to realize that stuff again. And so then off you go. Like, okay, there's stuff that needs to be worked out, but somehow, some way, you need to get back into contact with that version of you. And that's what we love to do with guys. And it's what we need to continue to do ourselves, which is why we do stupid things like create a 10-year course and invite other people to, would you like to do a stupid thing? It's kind of stupid. You don't need to do it, but we're going to do it because it's kind of stupid, but we think it's also fun and it's going to be interesting and it'll keep us learning and growing and expanding.
I love it. So that might sound impossible to you. That's what the whole point of this video is. It's not impossible. It's just a little bit scary to break out of the routine you've been in. Routines make us play small. They make us feel small. So break out of a routine. Do something surprising. It's fall right now for most of us in the northern hemisphere anyway. Google pumpkin patches near me. Just Google it. Pumpkin patches near me. You're going to find 4 or 5 farms around. They've got goats and donkeys and honey and flowers and all kinds of hayride crap. And just get excited about something and then invite somebody. Invite a child, invite a friend, invite your wife. It doesn't matter who says yes. You have to be a yes for it. And that's the impossible part of this is you being a yes for you and not thinking you have to get yeses out of other people. Be a yes for yourself. Connect with that part of you that likes to play. And guess what? Golden retrievers, yeah, they have a lot of spare time, but they got no money. So don't make this a money thing. Golden retrievers don't have wallets. They don't got shit except for attitude.
Okay, well, that's it, guys. Go to the website, goodguystogreatmen.com, fill in the application form, get in touch with us. As always, we'll give you an hour of our time and we'll talk about this stuff and we'll see if we can't get you laughing a little bit in that hour. Life
Yeah.
needs to be fun and adventurous. That's what we're here for. And it doesn't need to cost money. It doesn't mean to mean you can't live to your responsibilities. It can be all of that and a lot more.
Looking forward to meeting you sometime, brother. Take care.